Hello everybody. Welcome. I am very excited for this webinar today. It's going to be a very interesting topic. I'd say before we start though, we're going to take 1 minute for all the people to come into the chat and for everybody to find the link in the emails we sent out, so everybody can start and see, of course, all the content that we're going to type out. I'm so happy that you're here and taking time on a Wednesday evening, 1 hour to listen to us. Also, the topic today is very, very interesting. Thanks for making it possible. Of course, always. Greetings from Cologne. I'm in Cologne right now, and I'm so very happy to be here. In the meantime, please write in the chat from where you are watching this webinar. And from Basel. Oh, okay, that's also cool. Vienna, my cousins are from Vienna. That's also cool.
Frankfurt, Munich, Duisburg.
Munich. Okay.
Cape Town. Welcome, South Africa.
Cape Town is amazing.
It was there last year in March.
Yes, and I'm also gonna be in Berlin in 2 weeks. If you haven't heard, we have a malt breakfast event at April 16th. And of course, everybody is invited to come to ask questions to our general manager, Adrian Storb. I can send a link in later for the landing page if you're interested in Berlin. Okay, I'd say that's enough waiting for right now. Let's start. So for today, what's in the agenda? I'm going to introduce malt very shortly, just 2 minutes for everybody that doesn't know malt yet. And then I'm going to give word to Professor Dr. Rainer Etzte. Thank you for being here today as well. It's an honor to have you. And he will present pricing strategies and why pricing is very important. I'm also very excited to hear about it as well. I'm a student and I study business psychology, so that's going to be very interesting for me as well. And at the end, we will answer all of your questions. So please, while you have questions, write them into the chat and we will collect all the questions and try to answer them as best as we can. And yeah, we're very excited. My name is Khan. I'm a working student in community events at Malt. I have been working at Malt for around 1.5 years, and it's going to be a bit longer too. So I'm very excited. Malt is amazing to work at, really. So it's very nice that they give me opportunities like this to host, present, and organize events as well. So the recording will be shared later as well. That's true for everybody that is signed up. And Professor Dr. Rainer Etzte is also here today, an expert in sales, pricing, and strategy, of course. A professor in business administration. I hope I'm not wrong. And correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, good.
Of course. And yeah, I will tell you more about Malt right now. So to hold it very short, Malt was founded by 2 freelancers, Vincent Hugo and Hugo Lassiège. Of course, our CEO is just Vincent right now. He's the only one being the CEO. And they both decided to start Malt and found Malt because they know how hard it is to be a freelancer like you guys. There are many problems, especially when it comes to finding projects. And I'd say I've heard a lot of problems with payment as well, when companies don't pay you on time, but you're dependent on payment, of course, because you worked for it. And when you don't have many tools at hand and you need guidance, these 2 freelancers decided to found Malt and be that for the freelancer community and provide all of these things like projects and resources, everything that a freelancer could need, especially when it comes to payment as well. And these are the things that we try to make your daily life as a freelancer easier. We have 870,000 freelancers globally, 70K clients right now in all of Europe. And we have been in Germany for 12 years, quite some time. And we are 62,000 freelancers in DACH. Of course, we want to grow our freelancer base a lot more, but this is where we are right now, and we're very happy to work with you guys together. And we have also very big names that we work together in all of the different categories of business. For example, L'Oreal and Zalando, Disney, and we want to provide you a very big variety of different projects so that you can work your dream as a freelancer, of course. That's it from my side. Thank you so much, and I'm giving you the word, Rainer.
Thank you so much, Khan. That was so nice introduction.
Thank you.
Good afternoon to everyone. I'm trying to share my screen. I hope you can see it. Khan, do you think we can see it already? Is it already uploaded? That's great. That's good to hear. So thanks for the invitation. And I first introduced myself just briefly, just to give you an idea who am I, but you're more interested in pricing than in me. So we start with the agenda for today. It's about value versus cost pricing, how sales and marketing align in pricing, and we will learn something about the differences between B2B and B2C pricing, as they are so different. And I will give you an insight into the development of software and AI in pricing. Everything needs to be now labeled with AI. Any presentation needs to have something with AI. So of course, you get what you can expect here. Also, we will have a short glance on AI because I was doing my research semester, the last semester, on AI and along the customer journey. This also includes, of course, pricing. So who am I? I'm in my main job, as Khan said, I'm professor at the University of Esslingen of Applied Sciences for marketing, sales, digital business models, and I opened a small boutique-style consulting company back in 2014. And I looked it up, Khan. I'm working now for Malt Co-Match now since 2017, an amazing 8 years already. And we had some tremendous projects over the last years together. Now is a day to give something back to you guys. I'm also an author. I'm co-author of the book Digitalization in Sales, which is now in the 2nd edition. And we just launched today, we just got the approval for an article in the St. Gallen Marketing Review, which is quite kind of competitive for some content. And some more things that you can see, initiator of a digitalization index with KPMG, and I'm guest lecturer in different countries. And the most important background for today is I was working, among other jobs, at Simon-Kucher and Partners. My last position was in 2010 as a director, and I carried on working in the area of sales, pricing, marketing over the last 15 years as when I stopped working for Simon-Kucher. So pricing is a topic that's really kind of my hobby and job and hobby, basically. Yes, the next one is about publications. We can jump over it very briefly because we now want to know more about pricing and why it is so relevant at all times, not just in times of crisis, and also in good times. Companies should take a deeper look into their pricing. And to start with, I want to send us all back to school. And I would like to know from you, just it's clear figures, but we don't want to spend too much time on that. If you have the 4 levers to improve something, you have the price per kilo, which you can improve by 10% as an example. You can reduce the variable costs per kilo by 10% by better sourcing, which of course today in times of tariffs imposed by Donald Trump is not that easy. And if you can increase your sales by 10% to 11 million kilos, and finally, if you cut costs by 10% from 30 million to 27, what is for any of those levers alone the impact on profitability? Or every impact is just 10% improvement. What's the overall profit impact if your initial profit is 10 million euros? Can we share the poll for that? Can you do it, or shall I do it?
Yes, please, Norris. I'm sharing the polls right now, so please, it down in the chat. Press on poll, please. Thank you.
So again, what is the percentage impact of price, cost, amount of sales, and fixed cost in percentage points? Can we already display the results? Can we publish them?
Yes, so if you go on polls, you should be able to see all of the results and everybody that voted for all the polls.
Actually, I can just see if I would submit now my vote. I can't see the results.
You can press on the I. It says
see results. There it is. Can I publish this?
I think everybody can see it if they press on polls.
Everybody can see it, so we can go through it. So you say 40% is the price impact on profitability. 40% say 15% say 100%, 46% say it's 40%. Majority says it's 30% for fixed cost. Majority says it's 40% for variable cost, and half say it's 30 or 60% if I improve my prices. Very good. Thank you very much. Look at it. That's the actual impact. It's 100% improvement of profitability when you improve your pricing in this setting. Of course, you can change the settings. The eye opener at that stage is basically, and it's not really rocket science. If you change something on the top line and it goes down to bottom line, then it's a full effect. If you go through the filters, of course, the effect must be less. That's a natural impact that we can see here. What do I mean by that? If you have the chance to improve your prices, the effect is much, much bigger. But also in the other way, when you talk to sales guys and they talk about discounts, it's just the other way around. So in many sales discussions in projects, you end up talking to sales guys who want to increase their discounts. And you have to tell them that's the opposite effect that you have. If you change your discounts and you cannot tell us exactly what the volume increase is, then we see also a decrease in profit the other way around. So price is the lever when it comes to profitability in total terms, right? We all know that. We've all seen this question, Greenland for sale, or one or the other way. He said, I will get Greenland. The question is, if Greenland was to be sold, what would be the price for Greenland? I know this is one of the typical consultant intake questions in human resources. How much is Greenland? How many trees are in Finland, etc.? But how would you calculate how much you would pay for Greenland? Maybe some of you would like to comment on that. I think it's pretty difficult task, right? Not sure if anyone wants. Yeah, someone is typing already. Let's wait for one comment. What you were suggesting on how to assess the value of a country. Can we see any answers? Yeah, it's already coming. All right, find about the BIP. Yeah, very good. And value of resources. This is a bit kind of cost base. Yeah, estimate natural resources. You would estimate the cost if you would buy them in other countries. How much would you be able to pay for it when it comes to buying a country or whatever? The revenue potential, BIP related. Yeah, very good. So it's very much and very often driven by the cost. The price is what somebody's ready to pay. So it's more of the value side. So maybe the US would be willing to pay more for Greenland than maybe Germany, because we don't see the strategic value and not just the raw material value. Thank God, and I hope I can say that this will never happen, that Greenland will be forced to move in either way. Don't forget to consider the debts. Yeah, very good. It's also cost side in that sense. Yeah, I agree. And new usage for Sondervermögen. That's a good one. Thank you. That's a good one. Thanks for all your contributions. Why am I asking this? Because one side is actually really the value side. US would place a higher value on that than maybe Germany because of the strategic value and the cost side when it comes, for example, to natural resources. But now look at that. I looked this up and look at that, what happened when prices are set too high or too low. And in history, there were some examples where prices were by far too low. And one of them is actually selling Alaska to the United States in 1867. People have forgotten that this already took place in a different time when the former states of the United States bought Alaska for just $7.2 million. Of course, at that time, that had a different value. But if you look further down, Manhattan was sold to the Dutch for just $26 in 1624. Of course, it was just wetland, it was just a coastal area and things like that. But just imagine how low prices have been and what we would have to pay for Manhattan today. And there are, of course, more marketing related issues, like the example of Hoover already a few years ago, lots of years ago, when a crazy sales guy or marketing guy handed out Flight to America coupons buying a vacuum cleaner, which is, of course, nonsense. People just bought the vacuum cleaner to get a cheap flight, and this is a huge loss. If you believe that this does not repeat, then I can show you that this happens every day. This is what happened in 2017 as one of the most remarkable ones. That was the case when Peugeot launched the 207, I think, the Peugeot 207 in the German market. And you could rent this car for 99 euros per month, including everything, including insurance, including tax, everything for 99 euros, which was absolutely a waste of money. And that cost 3 managers their jobs. So you can see that low prices can even be a showstopper in the career of someone in an organization. And of course, it might be also the other way around. We can't always assume that prices are too low. Prices can also be by far too high. One example, and we can discuss this, is not just a pricing example, is when Mercedes had to cut the prices for their electric car vehicles in China. Yeah, the EQS, EQE models, they had to be reduced substantially 2 years ago when Mercedes-Benz realized that people did not buy them. And again, we can discuss it because there are other reasons behind it. The EQS was not the typical chauffeur-driven car. It didn't have the same, or doesn't have the same space as Chinese cars in the back, etc. But it's kind of bad, of course, if you have to decrease your prices substantially and customers are faced with reduced values for their used cars. So it's always wise to know beforehand what is a fair price in the market and how much can you ask for a product in a different market, right? This is the high and low side. Now we come to the side of how to reflect cost. And of course, pricing is not just an issue about reflecting cost, but cost is the bottom line. Yeah, I think we are all in common sense when we say that the cost definitely has to be covered, and even that sometimes becomes a huge challenge. This is from a project example, and I go back to that in a moment when I dig deeper also into the aspect of digital pricing, when we were asked to deliver a solution for a company in plastics and packaging. And here you can see the KI. This is not AI, it's not KI, it's a price indicator for polymers, for PPC, PVC, etc. And if you look at the volatile changes, ups and further downs and ups again, if you look at this for North American PP prices, driven by external effects like the hurricane season, long-term capacity reasons, short and medium-term volatility. You can imagine that if you work in B2B surroundings where there are no fancy value issues around it, and you have long-term contracts, sometimes it's quite hard to maintain the price level and to catch up with cost development over time. Because you might be either too expensive when the prices go down, or you might be too cheap when prices go up again. Yeah, as I said, I will come back to that in a moment. And then the question is, how can I survive in such a volatile surrounding? And many companies actually struggle substantially. We've seen that over the last few years when companies did not survive the fast increasing cost curves on that side. And this is an example. It looks more complicated than it actually is, where you have the base prices, that's the blue line, as agreed with customers in this market. And the market behavior very often is that companies have to agree on 3 months based floating prices. So basically 3 months prices are fixed and then are renegotiated back on the cost change over the last 3 months. And then the average is taken again to set the next price. This works quite well as long as you are higher than the cost curve. Yeah, then you have the higher prices against the cost. But what happens if during the 3 months your cost increases substantially and you're not able to hedge this cost increase? What can you do in order to avoid such a discrepancy between the actual cost increase and the price you're asking for? Because you can imagine, as of July and August, you're running in full losses here, and you have to avoid that. And there we can use different options in pricing. One could be, theoretically, set the gross prices so high that you can steer it with discounts. So you have discounts that go up and down and up and down. The problem is the psychology of pricing with discounts is once a discount is set, it's pretty hard to go to your customer and say, now I take away discounts. It's pretty difficult because very often procurement departments are incentivized by their discounts that they get. So it's quite difficult to gain something if cost goes up by decreasing the discounts. Could be an idea. Another maybe better idea is, say, we add a surcharge when I have very volatile cost parts in my product, and I know that a certain percentage is only driven by some kind of raw material, then I can add to the base price some kind of surcharge and have this floating with my actual cost and prices over time. And in a good world, we are able to kind of shift these surcharges over time constantly in our gross prices in order to reduce these surcharges over time and maintain in total a higher price level. No discounts again, right? So this is one possibility to avoid that in those times when cost goes up, that I lose money and I can't catch up with my prices. Now comes the point of B2B versus B2C. And for B2B, when it comes to value now, not so much cost, because basically the cost side is the same everywhere. If it's B2B or B2C, you always have to catch up with your cost. But the value side is slightly different. For B2B, you have to ask yourself in which market or in which product category I am in. Is it a commodity price, which is kind of easily comparable with competitors, such as plastics, such as any other raw material, steel, aluminum. We know this now with the tariffs. It's a very plain price that we have. Then it's not that easy, and we need to manage the price differentials to competitors very closely and see where are options to get a small share where we can slightly be at a higher price, maybe because we have better services, we have other payment conditions, we have better packaging closer to the market or whatever, in order to ask for a slightly higher price, because commodity prices are close to open market prices. The second way is when I have me too products that are similar products that someone else might also have. It's not really a commodity. Then it's more about the complexity of those products and consistency, and be sure that we have them clear among our customers. There's sometimes more that different customers pay different prices depending on their behavior, order behavior, loyalty behavior, etc. So in order to have here more of a differential rather look at the customer than on the product price level. And finally, and that's of course the easiest way, if I have specialty products, then I can assess the customer's additional value to the enhanced product and ask for this additional value against reference products, reference competitor prices, and then it's the easier way if I have specialty products. Now we come back to B2C. So the hype of value pricing, for my understanding, was that of Dubai chocolate. I translated my post here that I wrote at that time. Who of you is not aware of the hype of Dubai chocolate? Do we have anyone from a country where people are less crazy than Germans about the Dubai chocolate one? Not aware, Pierre. Good for you. I can explain you in a short moment. Dubai chocolate is a TikTok hype that was launched in Germany mainly. I saw it also in the UK. I was looking it up beforehand. It also exists in the UK. This is a UK page, dubaichocolates.uk. And the reason why I'm placing this example is there was a TikTok hype. I'm not a TikToker. My son is, but I'm not such a TikToker. I'm more interested in, you are, Khan, I can imagine. You're a student. You have to be more in TikTok than I can have time for it. As you know, all these TikTok hypes generate something, and sometimes it turns into real products. Maybe, Khan, you can explain it better to me what the Dubai chocolate hype is, but I understand it was linked to the fascination of Dubai with a nice recipe of a chocolate, and it came from Dubai, and it is sold at 150 grams for as little as 15 euros. 15 euros for 150 gram chocolate. And it's basically chocolate, it's pistachio, and it's these Arabic, I can't explain, it's like a grid of a little bit harder texture, which is inside, but the main ingredients are chocolate, pistachio, and this Arabic, sweet that is inside. That's all basically. And it has made Germans kind of isn't sweet from West Asia. Thank you, Suvadit. Thank you for explaining this. And this TikTok hype produced, it's hard to see on this picture here, this is Lindt chocolate, the famous Swiss Lindt chocolate. They all hopped on this same hype in order to gain as much money as they can during this hype of Dubai chocolate. There was even a story about fake Dubai chocolate. There was this story about stolen Dubai chocolate, and now you find everything in Germany with style of Dubai chocolate. So it's really an amazing marketing and pricing case. Knowing this, I would like you to guess now in our second poll, what is the markup for a 15 euro bar of Dubai chocolate of 150 grams between the variable cost to mark it up to our sales price? What is the markup in percentage? Can we open this poll?
Yes, so the poll is published.
Is published, and of course, I did it on purpose. I put you one which is a little bit exaggerated of 1,000. There must be always something that's beyond that, but you're very close. It's 750% markup. How do I know that? How do I get out of this now? I have this back to vote. There it is. Skip. All right. How do I know this? There was an article in a magazine where they asked a not bakery, how's it, confectionery from Berlin, and she made the calculation that 150 grams is less than 2 euros of mere cost, and it is sold at 15 euros in Germany. This is value pricing at its best, or for me at its worst. I can't believe that people are so stupid to buy. Sorry if you like Dubai chocolate and you pay 15 euros, please take it. Don't take it too serious if I say that. But if people spend 15 euros on something which has such a low value, it's really the miracle of marketing and value pricing here, right? All right, let's carry on. You can get this back to me now afterwards with the feedback. In general, and this is what we have seen here in this example, if you have the product life cycle, yeah, you're right. If people can afford a fortune for a steak with gold, why not for Dubai chocolate? You're absolutely right. Yeah. Product pricing and customer pricing is all about the customer life cycle or product life cycle stages. And if we look at the product life cycle stages, this is the perfect example to have a structural complexity low of that product. It used to be just one type of chocolate at a very high price level. That was what they did. They skimmed the high price level. Anyone who made this was able to skim the market at a very high price level. As soon as we go into the growth phase, and again, this is the same for B2B products, we need to emphasize the huge usage-based fee structure, and possibly we might have to reduce the price in order to make it not too attractive for competitors. I'm waiting for the first Dubai chocolate for 1.99 at Aldi, or even 99 cents at one of our huge discounters, and then the market is basically gone, right? And here you can also see that companies try to introduce usage-based fees, not so much fixed fees, but based on usage. And then comes what is very interesting in pricing projects is introducing complex price structures to decrease price transparency. Many companies are so happy about their clean and simple pricing, but in fact, very often it's the other way around. The more intransparent your prices are, the better you can kind of maneuver in the market with capturing higher prices for some customers, for some items, etc. You see the example of bundling, so putting things together is a very good thing at that time, and differentiate offerings and prices across countries, customers, etc. is a good way. And then, of course, in the decline phase, you try to find ways where you have flat fees, where you have subscription models or things like that, in order to harvest the prices before you might have to jump out of the market, right? Now I want to tell you something. I hope you're still okay if I continue. I want to give you an insight into a case study that we have run over about 2 years with a packaging industry company, and it ended up in a digital pricing project, which we did not believe at the beginning. This is the same slide that you've seen before. That was the task and the challenge we were facing at the beginning. So the volatility of cost, and as a sales organization, which for some reason was not fast enough to catch up the price increases and bring them into the market. That was kind of dangerous because cost at that time was increasing so fast that it was really kind of dangerous not to catch up with the price increases. So we were asked to set up a way to capture the cost, but also the value against customers or with customers and the products. And finally, and I jump a little bit ahead, it was interesting in the sense of we were running a normal pricing project, analyzing strategy, analyzing all tools in marketing, and we ended up developing some fancy Excel tools that worked pretty well at the beginning. And then we realized these Excel tools were by far too complicated. We needed a software. And then we made a screening on the market. And it was kind of, for me, as working long time in the pricing consulting business, was kind of disappointing. I couldn't find any really good software that could fulfill our needs. And if you can't find something that fulfills your need, you have to do it yourself. So we told the customer we need to invest a little bit of money. We hired some IT guys, and we developed our own software, which ended up in an own product, which is called Price Hive. And this was basically the final result for the organization to cover the challenges they had. And the base idea at that time was we want to have profitable customers regardless of the products they buy. We can argue on that. You could say, no, the product has to be profitable. We said, no, in the end, in the B2B industry, it's more important that our customers are profitable to us, not every single product. Why is that? Sometimes products are not profitable, but the customer needs them. They're kind of side products, me too products that the customer needs, and we can live with it if the majority of customers is able to buy it and buys it, and we have profitable customers in the end. That was the main idea behind it. So that was kind of the assumption or hypothesis that we started with in our project. And then we said, basically, what we need first is we need to segment our customers. That sounds so basic, and you might say, well, anyone has a customer segmentation. No, they don't have it. Many companies in B2B businesses, they don't have a clear idea of what their segments are. Where is a big customer? Where is a profitable customer? Where is a cherry picker? Where is maybe personas come into place? They don't have a clue about that. So that's what we did with them. Then we analyzed their transaction data based on the segments. Then we gave them the possibility to set targets. The sales organization was able to set their targets. And then we could track the achievements of the sales managers when they did this. Why don't they have this knowledge on customers? Let me just answer this question. It's because they have a long-lasting relationship to their customers, and they believe that they know everything about their single customers, but they don't take it back, for example, into a CRM system and share it with the others to give an overview of how customers can be segmented across their market they are working in. This is one of the main reasons. So what we then did in that case, that can be different in other companies. We said, well, we take first volume or sales in two different organization parts. We had different views on that, sales, and one was volume. Then we looked on profitability and then on strategic customers. And they were able to choose whatever they liked. And what we then did is we looked at the customer base and gave them back, where are your most profitable customers per segment? We took this example of a cake where the sweetest layer is the one on the top. This is where the fruits are. This is where the sugar are. These are the sweetest customers you have to care, you have to maintain, you have to make sure they stay with you. On the bottom line is where the hard bottom of the cake is. We can be tougher on them. To give you an example, in this project, we ended up with D customers, the smallest customers, the least profitable customers, and the CEO said in a meeting, tomorrow we increase their prices by 20%. And sales said, we will lose all small customers in one day. And they had to increase the prices by 20%, and they didn't lose one single customer. Why? Because these customers were cherry pickers. They were just buying the small amounts of differentiated products from that company, and the big chunk they bought at other companies. So they had to buy these products, or they used this supplier as kind of a second supplier, and they were forced to buy it. So the increase of the price didn't have any negative impact basically on sales volume here. And then you can set the targets per customer segment, and finally you can observe. We entered also some ways to analyze and have customized cockpits and things like that to see what was the impact. The outcome of that project was, and that was something which was quite nice to hear, the CEO said his company was the only company that was able to catch up with all the cost increases in time. All the competitors lost a lot of money because they were not able to drive up the prices in time. That was kind of a good merit to our project in the end. And after that project, and that was kind of another interesting step, which could be also interesting for your projects, is we integrated it with a CPQ, price configurator, CAS in Karlsruhe, CAS Software AG. is a leading supplier of also CRM systems, but also of a CPQ, and we were able to link this. So if you have on the one side you have a configurator, you can link it also with this analysis tool that we developed. But that's just a short background in the end. Software brings me, of course, to the aspect of AI, and maybe you were waiting for that until 1740 or wherever you are in your country, 1640, to learn something about AI. I told you at the beginning, I was working now for 6 months in a research project on AI along the customer journey. It was really interesting. I saw, I don't know, 50 or 60 demos, and I took part in various symposia and webinars like this one. And I was kind of disappointed in a way. And this is here an example where even the German Der Spiegel, which is the biggest or one of the most important news magazines in Germany, wrote on a survey by Kearney and a pricing AI company with some kind of really bullshit knowledge, where I said, well, this is something that I knew before that this would happen. And it brings us back that AI in pricing, in a way, is not where it could be from my understanding. So what you find very often is, first of all, very much e-commerce driven. E-commerce is interesting, but it's not really that rocket science. It's more rocket science if you go into B2B. That's my personal experience in that way. And secondly, AI is far away from real predictive pricing. And AI would be more interesting if that was rather in the area of predictive pricing. I made up this picture by DALL-E because for me, the current AI applications that we find, both in pricing and in other ways, are a bit like this pocket calculator, where you can see, yes, we have plus and minus, we have equal, but we don't have multiplication, we don't have division. Some numbers are lacking. So what I saw in pricing AI is not what we really need at the moment. It's in development, and it will develop and evolve further. But it's not there what I expected. So predictive pricing, which is something which would be very nice, is not as far as it could be. We see applications for conjoint analysis. We see applications. I was in a meeting yesterday with KPMG in Frankfurt, and there was a company presenting from our research project, and they said, we use now AI to listen to our customers, and this impact we use for our conjoint price analysis. That was quite interesting. But other than that, I'm a little bit disappointed about the status of AI. Maybe you guys have more experience, better experience than I have, but I'm still slightly a little bit disappointed. I hope that was not too long. I saw some people leaving us. Fair enough, that's fine. But I see still some 59 people with us. So thank you very much. Let's keep in contact. And first of all, are there any more questions? How do you link your presentation? I just grabbed the questions, Khan, right? I just read what I can see here, right? How do you link your presentation with the freelancer pricing? I'm so impatient. Or do you talk about it at the end? What do you mean by freelancer pricing? I'm not sure if I can get this question. Maybe you can specify the question and then I can back to that. Can you elaborate on consumer pricing? Which tools are you using? Actually, my focus in my projects is not that dramatically on consumer pricing, and I can tell you why. Consumer pricing has already seen so many ways of, as I just mentioned, conjoint pricing, conjoint measurement, and things like that. We have the typical tools in pricing, Van Westendorp method, and things like that. The majority of my projects is actually B2B pricing. Or are you looking for software tools? Then just let me know. I have the same question Kuzinski had. Can Rainer maybe also share his wisdom on pricing for us freelancers? Ah, no, I get the point. Your own pricing, your daily rate price, is that the question? Wow, that is a complicated question. Khan, is that something you want to answer? Because I think the freelancer pricing is also a real Malt issue.
I'm probably not the most qualified person to answer this question.
All right.
Yeah,
You guys were waiting now. Sorry, go
sorry.
ahead.
No, you go ahead, please.
You guys are waiting now for 40 minutes. I'm telling you something about pricing. You're waiting for me to tell you how much you should ask for your customers. So you were kind of in the wrong presentation now with me, maybe. That's a tough issue. How much should you ask as a freelancer? I know from my experience, and I'm a Malt consultant. Of course, this is very much based on your experience and what you can offer, the market you're in. Some countries are rather high level freelance price markets. Some markets are lower markets. As far as I know, Malt gives you an indication on price ranges where your daily rates are set, basically. Thanks so much. You need to run Happy Week Wednesday, Patricia. Regarding AI, most LLM are systems how to handle text or images. That's right. I have yet to see a really good open model for pricing. You're right, Benjamin. That's exactly the point. Most of it is generative AI and about large language. What you can do is analyze tables, of course, any kind of data analysis, but really saying what is a better price? What is the price tomorrow? What is the impact of my kind of war games? But please don't take it as war inside. I mean, a war game. What happens if we have an attack from an outside competitor? How should we react? Take metadata into it in order to change prices. That is something that I haven't seen yet. It's a good point, Benjamin. Yes, you talk about pricing and value. You get the point. Imagine you bring 5 million euros saving in 12 months. Yeah, okay. Of what should be a share remuneration? Good point. So if you can agree on that, and if you actually this savings issue, you're looking on cost issue, how much should be yours? I'm not on the cost side, as you've seen at the beginning. I'm on the pricing side, but this works also on the pricing side. It's really a matter of negotiation. If they were able to give you like 5% or I don't know, 10%, that would be quite on the high side. And the other thing is how to prove it. How can you prove that everything is driven by your activities and not by other impact, that cost has gone down or revenue has gone up? And the other aspect is why 12 months? Some aspects have a long-term implication. So you will also have to think about the second year and think about how to improve your pricing situation, or your fee over the next 1 or 2 years. Dedicated freelancer pricing. Yes, you talk about pricing value, you got the point. Imagine you bring, could we have a dedicated session? Freelancer pricing, this is critical for community. Approved by the P&L, I'm as well. Do you often use elasticity analysis as a tool in B2B pricing? Yes. Price elasticity of demand is a very important issue, or any good methods you can recommend to make pricing really data driven. Yeah, telecom business. A telecom is a good example because you have mass data. You might have test markets. And also, I mentioned the Van Westendorp method, which in B2B pricing works pretty well. If it's well organized, that can work pretty well. Again, test markets is a good way. When clients view consultants as commodity, then we can only charge the commodity price valid for consultants. That's a good point, Pierre. You have to have something special, and then you can ask for a special price. Do you have any experience in airline ticket pricing? Yes, I have airline ticket pricing, but I think this is one of the most digitalized issues at all, because they have price engines running specific to their market, where they can change the variables. So they have price engines where they can say, we have this and that amount of seats in this and that category, and we need to sell this and that amount to that price until that moment, or we go up, we go down, they look at competitor prices. This is a very, very transparent market, Suvrajit. A very transparent market, airline ticketing. Is the price suitable for Yes, it is, Pierre. It is suitable for manufacturing industries. It's especially effective if you have several different machines and a substantial number of customers. The price software issue, and that would apply also for AI, works best if you have lots of cases, lots of customers. The more standardized the items are, the better they are. But if you need contact also to some kind of CPQ providers like the CAS one, Pierre, let's get in contact. I can connect you to the guys from CAS to the CPQ, because they deal with manufacturing industries every day. All right.
Okay, I'd say if there's still some questions left, please go ahead and type some questions in. I took the feedback as well, so we can see if we have more on freelancer pricing in general, if we can do a more specific webinar. I will, of course, take that into consideration with my team, and we will talk about that. And I saw another question go in for you, Rainer.
That's a good summarizing question. I'm so sorry for the guys who are waiting until the end that I talk about freelance prices. Yeah, they can see, Khan, that we may have misguided some of the participants here. Right now, we can see left and right are lowering their rates. I must say, I don't lower my rates, yeah, but this is a bit unfair because I have a main job. I'm a professor, so I can afford to work a little bit less. And this is a natural reaction if there are less contracts, that people need to reduce their prices. The problem is how do you want to get them up if the market catches up again? And this is a little bit like, you know, all the game theory and the prisoner's dilemma a little bit. If everyone moves down now, then we have kind of a real deflation of freelancer prices. So to give you an idea how I do it usually with customers, if it's via Malt or via my own customers, what I try to do is I tell the customers that the first 10 days are list price. You pay list price for the first 10 days. And then after the first 10 days or 15 or 20 or whatever, then we can talk about discounts, because then it's reflecting the reduced costs that you have as a freelancer. You don't have any preparation anymore. So I would always recommend to say, no, the first days are always list price. And then we can discuss on discounts, possibly depending on what is the project like. Is it homework? Do I have to be on site? What are the other packages like? So I wouldn't go too much into my list prices. I think it's not a good idea, I think. Jean says the same. I increased my price because the client have needs. I prefer to keep my price and eventually offer free days. That's the point. Rather offer a free day. That's a good point. A free workshop, something you do extra and signal it at the end. Very good point, Jean. Yes. We are selling a perception of value, emphasizing the value you bring also should command a premium. That's the point. Yeah. I know when the social pressure on someone is very high and you need to find work, then it's hard to maintain these statements. But generally speaking, it's actually the point. If you reduce your prices, then it's hard to explain them why they should maintain their prices in the market. It makes sales projects much more difficult then. Very good discussion. Very good discussion. Thank you. Although you might be feeling you're on the wrong presentation, I found it a very good discussion that you brought up here.
Okay, perfect. It seems like all the questions have been resolved. I'd say I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for everybody participating. And you will receive a recording later on as well in the email. So if you want to look up anything else again, you can do that, and you can do so. Right? So thank you guys. Thank you for everybody participating. Thank you, Rainer, for being here today and presenting all of your insights. Thank you so much. And I'd say have a wonderful Wednesday and a wonderful evening, and we'll see each other later. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Khan. Thank you,
Of
guys. Have a
course.
great evening. All the best to you guys.